alcoholics and drug addicts are X, Y, and Z, and rightfully so. I get it. You know, there is a name that is carried behind it, and based off of how we may present ourselves in the world. But I was there, and it was like everyone's sober, right? And we're all sitting around, and it's like none of us are judging each other for the drugs and the alcohol. We're not judging each other for why we got there. We're not judging each other because we are really some fucked up people, maybe. Right. Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Maybe we just did a few fucked up things. I don't know. Or we're just getting fucked up. I don't know. But all of that was pushed aside because we all had this common denominator like, yo, I need help. All right, so I would love to start with you, Amy. Just what has life been like since you left rehab in these past 9 months? Like, how did you leave rehab? What was those first steps you took? Where did you go from that point, those first 30 days maybe, and then up to this point now?
Okay, so when I left Mount Sinai, I went to sober living. I got there. It was a complete scam. I probably saw somebody overdosing like every weekend for about 5 weeks. We were seeing people overdose on fentanyl.
Not have supervision there or anything?
No. They kind of just like let us go. So it was really hard to stay sober at that point. Like, you know, kind of like.
But you still made it through.
Yeah, I did.
How long were you at that one?
4 months.
Oh wow.
No, 4 months. I called Mount Sinai and I let them have it. I was like, you guys did not vet this place.
Absolutely.
Like, you just sent me somewhere and it was shut down 2 or 3 days after I left.
Oh, good though. Good.
Yeah. They did need to be shut down. But anyway, so from there I followed a staff member that I had made friends with over to a place called Agape, and I stayed there for a few months, and that was better. It wasn't perfect, but it was definitely a lot easier than being somewhere and then watching somebody overdose and every weekend, just people constantly going back out. And I stayed there for about 3 months and got me a job and, you know, got a car and just started over again. And it's been difficult, and it's definitely had some moments. The biggest thing that I should have kept doing was go to meetings, which I think we were talking about earlier. You know, which is something I plan to get back into. You know, just staying in touch with people in the community has really helped me. Following you guys, you know, seeing y'all do better and, you know, staying sober and just chasing your dreams has been really inspirational. I'm glad I haven't heard from you since treatment. I'm so glad you're here and that you're sober. It's a blessing. And
I would like to, because I know a lot of people who are going to be watching this are parents. 2 of us have kids, 2 of you don't, right? And so as a mother, I can relate and understand what it's like attempting to get sober and heal trauma and move through the process and the steps of what that looks like leaving rehab, right? And because you went to sober living, which was a different experience for me, so I don't know what that's like. What was that going from rehab, instead of being able to go from rehab to home back to your kids, transitioning from rehab to sober living? How were you able to were you even allowed to even see your kids still? Was it still like a time space in between that, or?
So I could see my kids after the first 30 days at each place. So their dad would bring them to see me when I was at the other place that had no supervision. But by the time I had moved to the second place, the kids weren't really wanting to come visit anymore, which is fine. They knew I was okay. So I forgot the question you asked me before that, though.
Just how you were how did that look like in regards to being able to see your kids, or if you have? And how old are your kids, by the way?
Haley is about to turn 15 and Riker is about to turn 13.
Okay, so you got teenagers. Yeah.
Yes. They were so supportive, though, of me going to get treatment.
That's
like, they're them telling me to go back and go back to the place that made me happier, you know, and try it again. That was really all it took for me, was their permission to go, and that they could see that I needed treatment.
Isn't it funny how they'll do that to us, right?
They did. But it's really hard having kids being in treatment, because, you know, that's all you're thinking about, and you have this parental guilt, and parental guilt is, like, for me, the worst. You have pets. Yeah. I mean, that kind of guilt that you feel over, even, like, I mean, it's real and it's hard. You have pets. So yeah, y'all understand what it feels like just to feel guilty about leaving somebody that's like depending on you, and the amount of control that you don't have, and you really have to, you know, trust your village at that point just to keep them going. But I mean, it's probably what kept me from going and getting into trouble was talking, texting my kids and staying connected with my family and just staying out of all the mess and just really wanting to get home to them that, kept me going.
So what about now? Are you still in sober living right now, or are you back home with your kids?
I am back home and I'm staying with my family, but we're pretty much neighbors with their dad, so I go and we hang out all the time. And
That's so awesome.
they get to stay where, if they want to stay with me, they can stay with me. And if they want to stay with their dad, they can stay with their dad. And we're just kind of going with it right now.
I bet you they're very proud of you.
They are very happy right now.
You see a difference in you?
Yes. And I see a difference in myself, like, sitting down to watch a movie or play a video game. Like, I am not stressing out to get up and go, like, smoke a cigarette, even though I still vape, or, fucking eat a pain pill or smoke a blunt or whatever it is that's taking me out of that moment of being mindful with them. It's not there anymore. So I'm able to, like, enjoy a lot more quality time without that, like, little voice in my head telling me that I need to go get fucked up.
Finding a little bit of peace.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. What about you, Vicky? What has it been like since you left rehab? Those first 30 days up until now.
So,
I know.
as I was checking out of Mount Sinai, kind of touching on, I don't know if it was just from you, on like, because you said you went to a sober living and all the whole experience that you went through there. I mean, like I said, I've heard stories, and I was really skeptical about going to even a sober living, especially for the money that putting the money into that. It's like, why not just get, your own apartment or your own place or whatever. But me being new out here in Georgia, I still wasn't quite familiar with the areas or where I even wanted to be. So after I left Mount Sinai, I went back home. I went back home for about a month. But just the whole transitioning is still something going, or that I'm transitioning to being out here, I guess. I did sober living for a couple, maybe almost a few months. And sober living just wasn't for me anymore. I'm glad I did go, because the experience that I had was nothing, to what you're saying. I'm just grateful because there was structure there, not that I necessarily could say I needed it, but it was a good thing, because it could have just been getting into another place where you just fall back into your addiction, because it's that easy. It really is. And right now I'm still working on getting my where I can call home. I'm staying with my best friend right now, but everything's going good.
I'm so happy to hear that you made it back to Georgia, because I know before I left rehab that you had said that you were going to go back to see your mom, and you also expressed your concerns, and I get it, like going all the way back across the country, you're removing yourself from this environment and go put yourself right back in the same environment you just left. It can almost feel like a warped time, like did that even happen? Am I sober? Like what's happening? Is it all a dream? I kind of like really relate to that, right? Understand that, because I haven't really even been in Georgia that long myself, but I was really concerned about you. And what's crazy is, I'm going to share with you on this how I even got a hold of this girl when we were trying to put it all together. One night in rehab, she had got her phone taken from her multiple times when we were there. So I was like, well, get your family's phone numbers and you can use my phone to call them then. And so she got her mom, her aunt, her sister, and she stuck it in my phone. So I've had it in my notes like this whole time, like all her family's contact. And I know Dom and I had talked about it, like I hope she's doing okay, because couldn't find her on social media or anything. Yeah. And so I was like, wait, I got like her whole family's phone book in my phone. It just dawned on me that I had it. So we called them all, and sure enough, we were able to connect back with her. And so when she said she was back here in Georgia, I was really happy to hear that. Proud of you.
And with that said, Vicky, your brother is a rider, because he was not trying to give up none of your information on the phone.
He was like,
excuse me? He was like, who is this? And we were trying to find her. I'm still waiting on my Facebook acceptance. Like, I thought we was friends. I don't know what happened to Shorty, and I was hurt.
Once you're locked in, ain't no switching up.
I know that's right.
No, I kind of, like I said, I did. It's just the way I wanted to go about things. But I did kind of just disappear. But it was all to work on myself. Like I said, I'm back. I feel good. I feel better than ever. I'm glad to just get back on my grind and my hustle and show everybody what I got.
Okay, so what I noticed is, right, it's the 4. So there's smoking, alcohol, food, and sex, right? Mm-hmm. Food and smoking were the worst for me. Sex and alcohol, you can keep it, it's okay. But the food and the smoking, especially with the coffee, with the smoke, it's like, it changed my whole life not doing it. I had to find hobbies.
Yeah.
Drinking and smoking for me. Drinking and smoking, because I was just binging. I could go days without a cigarette or a drink, but let me pour myself a pack in a day. Like, it was over.
I hear you.
Yeah.
We were smoking packs in the day at the rehab.
Oh boy, I'm like, talk about thinking a carton will last you when that's all you have is your nicotine in there, you know. But for me, it's that cigarette in the morning and the cigarette after I eat, I think are the 2 hardest ones. I think the morning cigarette is winning though. So
That's the one.
haven't got there yet, but I plan on stopping this bad habit that I have of smoking cigarettes.
You know what? How I quit. Zay had told me. He said we were watching something. And he said, don't quit smoking. Just don't quit. He's like, when you're actually smoking, like, really be aware and pay attention to what you're doing. So, like, as you pack that pack, right, and you take the wrapper off, and you pull that cigarette out, and you put it to your mouth, and you light it, and with every inhale and how you're holding it and exhaling, like, pay attention, like, really be in that moment and watch what you're doing. And do that each and every time. And you'll start to begin to think, like, why am I even doing it? For what? Like what? I don't even need to do this. So you'll probably put it out eventually, and it just slowly disappears, like that need to want to do it, because it's like you're shutting off that automation almost, and it helped me a lot.
That's real. With me, with the milds, with the black and milds, it was like, I got the biggest thrill out of champing them. Y'all know what that is?
No.
Okay, so in Jersey, we do something called champing or finessing. It's like you take all the tobacco
finesse.
out. You take all the tobacco out, and then you separate them, and then there's like cancer paper on the inside, cancer paper on a smoking device. Like, really think about what we're saying. And you pull it out, and then you pack it back in. And like, I would do that while somebody was talking so I could disassociate and I'd just be focused on champing my mouth. And then when it actually came to smoking it, I found myself doing it when like things got uncomfortable. Like, all right, I'm about to leave, I'm gonna go smoke. Like, I'll be back.
It's a cop out.
Yeah, just to get out the way.
Excuse me, I got a habit to go tend to. I can't deal with this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Legit. And then even when Amelia was talking about playing video games and watching movies and not having that little voice in the back of your head, that's me a lot of times too. I'm like, wow, I could really sit and watch a whole movie with my little sister and not feel like, all right, we gotta pause this because I gotta go smoke right now.
And plus, even outside of addiction, they literally say, like, the attention span that individuals have right now is only up to 8 seconds. We have an 8-second attention span before we're looking for the next thing to do. So to be able to even hold your attention and stay in the moment is, like, phenomenal. It actually takes work, especially with the accessibility of our phones and every electronic, everywhere we go.
Yes, agreed. Even fasting my phone. I fasted my phone because I already did the sex and the alcohol and the smoking. Like, I had nothing else to fast, and I was on a diet, so the food was affected. So I want you to put your phone down at 7:30. I'm like, you want me to do what? And I start putting my phone down at 7:30, and the freedom. The first day was torture. The second day was uncomfortable. But by the third day, and I only had to do it for 10 days, by the third day, I had so much freedom of like, wow, I can't wait till 7:30 when I get to put this phone down and focus on what I'm watching on TV or like try to learn a lesson. And I noticed a lot of times when I would want to look at the phone, it's because I wanted to scroll on Amazon or Shein. I wanted to buy something. Yeah. In the bed, and I just, I wonder if a bidet has a portable feature, and then you just type it into Amazon and it comes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel it.
Well, I went through that at the Mount Sinai place. I didn't bring my phone. And that was the first time actually being disconnected from the entire world. How you said the first day was like, wow, I was like, am I really the only one here without a phone? After a couple of days, I'm like, wow, this is actually nice.
Free.
This is actually really nice. Yeah, very free. Just not having to wake up, or that's the first thing that you know, oh, if somebody's trying to reach out. Just in general, I don't know, just not having or being away from social media and everything, all the pressure just felt like a big relief. It was definitely an experience, but it was nice to not have it, or to just be, you know, for a full 30 days. So
I know that for me it was like, I think that's kind of what took so long for me to go to rehab, to think I was going to have to be cut off, and I didn't want to go somewhere where I didn't have phone accessibility because of my kids. But then I also kind of felt like, I think deep down inside that was an excuse as well. Like I was afraid a little bit to go put myself somewhere and completely 100% not have no access to the outside world. So when I heard Mount Sinai allowed you to have your phone, I was like, oh, bet. I can roll with this, you know, so I can still at least talk to my kids and all of these things. And I was able to still post on social media. Nobody even knew where I was because I didn't like go missing. And so I was allowed to like kind of fake it till I made it type of deal. And I have not publicly said it until just this past week, a little bit prior to starting to record, that I was even in rehab. I never have publicly said that until very, very recently.
likewise, I literally, it's coming out, you know, kind of now. If you would have asked me a couple months ago, I probably wouldn't have even been here. And I legit was standing by my word. Like I left Arizona my whole career but left everything, you know, my responsibilities for a reason, you know. But everybody has their own time. Timing is everything, and I never believed it. But I'm here now, and I feel good being able to speak about it. You know, it's probably a lot more that we're gonna, you know, get into about, you know, more personal. I don't know if it's hit me just yet, but so we'll see.
And let me tell y'all about Vicky. Yeah, she was free from her phone in rehab. She was free from her phone. She's walking around with an iPad as big as her whole face. She was, so not only was she detached from y'all in the real world, but there was a few times in rehab where she just went AWOL and she was lost in the woods. Remember that one night? She got lost in the woods.
Literally lost in the woods.
And people like, oh no, we just saw a bear a few days ago. I'm like, where is Vicky? We looked for Vicky for hours, couldn't find her. She comes back with this iPad. She's like, hey buddy, like I just took a walk through the woods. She's like, you guys gotta see it. There's a whole world out there, man. And I'm like, it's dark. Vicky.
I think at one point, like when I didn't know I was being hunt down for, but when I came back out of my, you know, I'm a spiritual person. I like to be out, you know, sometimes in my own company. And I came back and all the staff, there was people on golf carts looking for me, and I'm like, how hard could it have been to find? Well, we were on 40 acres, so I figured we could explore the acres and see what it's about instead of being, you know, just there on where the cabins were, or, you know, where we were supposed to be at.
And
So.
you can, but she was doing it at night, y'all. She
By
was
herself.
taking night strolls.
By herself in the
Night
woods.
strolls. Having a good old time. They were looking for her far and wide. They had the flashlights behind the swing sets and everything.
People came out all muddy, huh? I felt bad.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Did you know your skin is your biggest organ? Why not give it the nutrients it needs? Nature's Technology is a wholesaler of commodities such as shea butter, cocoa butters, sea moss, and over 100 herbs for drinking and smoking. They also make natural body care products such as shea butters, deodorants, lip balms, and sugar scrubs. They also specialize in holistic herbal teas as well as party-starting herbal root drinks, mocktails, guaranteed to make the night a great one. Check them out on Instagram and TikTok at Nature's Technology 1 or on Facebook at Nature's Technology. You can also give them a call at 1-800-545-2906 and tell them To The Last Drop sent you. While you're at it, go on the website and use promo code TOTHELASTDROP, all caps, for a discount on your first order. Get yourself that. And remember, plants, herbs, and roots are nature's technology.
So speaking of good times in rehab, can we just talk about some other things that happened that we enjoyed? We spent a lot of good times together on the swing.
I was just about to say that circle on the swing there,
Yeah.
that was very like it was like be able to just release kind of what we were doing in between each session that we had, whether it was therapy, a class, what have you. We'd all gather around this big area in the swings, and we could kind of
With
just
our cigarettes.
kick back, well, not me, but kick back and kind of just shoot the shit, talk a little bit. We kind of like left alone what we were talking about in therapy and just be able to like suppress all that and just laugh and love a little bit and just enjoy each other. And one thing I know that I saw, I was like, damn, like, so there's such a stigma that, you know, alcoholics and drug addicts are X, Y, and Z, and rightfully so. I get it, you know, there is a name that is carried behind it and based off of how we may present ourselves in the world, but I was there and it was like everyone's sober, right? And we're all sitting around and it's like none of us are judging each other for the drugs and the alcohol. We're not judging each other for why we got there. We're not judging each other because we are really some fucked up people, maybe.
Right.
Maybe we are, maybe we're not. Maybe we just did a few fucked up things. I don't know. Or we're just getting fucked up. I don't know. But all of that was pushed aside because we all had this common denominator like, yo, I need help.
Yes.
Like, I don't even know what I need. I just know I need to be here. And there were a few that may have been forced to be there, but they needed to be there as well. And we found that comfort within one another.
We
Right.
did.
Yeah.
You know, I found a lot of comfort watching Amelia in the grass. Remember, she had a blanket and everything in her little dress with the little
She's so cute.
sitting out in the grass.
A whole
sweet.
vibe.
Yeah.
A whole vibe.
It
What?
was.
Coming back and forth with the body armors. Is
Oh,
anyone
God.
thirsty?
Oh man.
I don't think I was that pleasant. She had to talk me off a ledge too one day because one girl almost got it. And I really...
I had to return the favor.
Yes, but she kind of talked me off that ledge as well, so I appreciate you.
I'm getting word Amelia did something that was spazzing out
Oh,
too. What
no.
happened?
I think we
I
all
thought
had a moment like
I
that. We were
did.
gonna MA it or
It was bad. Like, oh my God.
What
I'm
happened?
glad y'all didn't see. I lost my phone and I was pretty sure somebody had been stealing my stuff anyways. Like my stuff had been going missing and it finally came to my cell phone and I was pretty sure somebody grabbed it and I flipped out and my phone was back in my room when I got there. So I thought you saw that. It was
somebody messed.
you could have heard me from like all the way down the cabin row losing my shit in the main building. It was horrible.
Oh, wow.
I
I
believe
could have swore you
Yeah.
saw it. It was bad.
We were in a really sensitive place. Everybody is very fragile there, and that's one thing about giving grace is what I learned in
Yeah.
rehab. Giving people the grace and the space. Like even with me not being able to reach Vicky, it wasn't that I was mad that I couldn't get her. It was like I just wanted to make sure she was okay. You know, because we're in very fragile spaces. I often refer to it as being on stilts. Like you're up there and you're like, I really don't know how to work it, but I'm all the way up here now. Like I'm just gonna stay still till I figure it out and take that first step. Because it took us a lot to get here from an emotional standpoint.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially when we left. What? When we left, it was 4th of July came, Memorial Day, 4th of July. Like those are drinking holidays.
I left on Memorial Day. So we ain't mentioned this, but I'll say it now. I did leave AMA. I did leave against medical advice. I was only there for a little over 2 weeks. And it had a lot to do with my kids' situation as well, because they were supposed to be leaving to visit their father and all of this. But I also had a trip planned. And so I'm trying to explain to them I had my insurance. I didn't have it for free, like many of them, but I had my insurance. So they kept trying to press me to stay for the full 30 days. I was like, yo, I need my car on this date because I knew I had a flight. And I left rehab and went straight to New York. Right out of there. And yeah, it was kind of crazy, like just how you go from like one event to the next, trying to like process all of the emotions that come with that. Right. And I kind of want to just make it known though, it's like, I think people think it is cookie cutter and it looks a specific type of way. If you don't finish this whole thing, you're not gonna do well in life. Or if you don't follow these specific instructions, or you don't go to 90 meetings in 90 days, or what have you, like all these different options are there because everyone needs something different possibly. Yes. It may work differently for other individuals, but it goes to show that, you know, you can get sober, you can change your life, you can recover from trauma, you can do all of these things if you want to.
Yes.
If you absolutely want to. You have to make a choice. Life is made up of decisions. Because at the end of the day, like what got us there was a domino effect of events. And our emotions really played a part and directed us why we even drank or used drugs or what have you. But at the end of the day, we made a choice in the very beginning. But then we made a choice to end that. And you can too. And the thing is, it's just not, you have to get out of that victim mentality and you're like, you know what? I release it. I let go. I'm serving God, right? I'm serving God. I'm not going to serve society. I'm not going to serve my family. I'm not going to serve you. I'm going to serve my higher power, whatever you believe in. And then I'm going to allow him or my higher power to serve me. And allow that reciprocation to go between us, because that will lead you to the next step to be able to keep and maintain that sobriety.
And to that said, this podcast right here is a testimony of exactly that. If I had not let God take the wheel, we would not be sitting here. It would not look this good. This would not be happening if there wasn't something in control of me telling me what to do. And he's still telling me what to do in this very moment. And I'm just following directions. The most powerful thing you can do is let go of your control, because you have none. You have free will. You have free will to F it up. You have free will to fix it, but you have no control over what the end is going to be. And be okay with that. So we've touched on it in prior episodes, but I just want to ask you ladies, right? After leaving rehab and starting your sobriety journey, and just tell me if I'm wrong or not, but does it seem like family and friends and relationships start to get real weird? And not in the weird of like they're uncomfortable with your sobriety, but weird in the aspect of like now people are just bringing you more problems and you're shaky. You're in a shaky, fragile place. And it's like there's left field problems just coming back to back to back just to see if you'll stick with it. Can any of you relate to that?
I definitely can, and I think that explains kind of why I'm still out here. I mean, I'm keeping my sobriety. I've maintained it, plan to. But even when I did go back home, I went home for a month when I got out from Mount Sinai. I came out here to do my sober living. But just even when I went home that first time, I had so much anxiety. Just the thought of I don't know, just the thought of it, being back in, in those scenes, or it's just. It wasn't something I was ready for. And when I went home the first time, I still was, I was on the low. Nobody even knew I went back home. And then I came back out here to do the sober living. But I did go back for the holidays. And I actually was able to reconnect with some relatives, some family and whatnot. And it just being there, like I said, I have family that's in addiction still. It was like craziness. There's, some days or there's some times that are just kind of hectic, and it was just a bit too much for me. So that's why I'm glad to still be out here, because it's like I don't have to worry about any of that or all of that, or just I'm able to actually really focus on myself, because there's still, it's a lot going on back home.
What about you, Amy?
Well, I mean, I'm still here in Georgia, so my family's still around. The chaos is still there. It's definitely weighs on me sometimes. Like my siblings are still in active addiction and stuff like that, so they don't really want anything to do with it. So I don't really get any support there, but I do find a lot of help inside, like other people in recovery, like like a pseudo family of people that I get to choose. Like if I'm having a really hard time, there's definitely somebody that I can reach out to that's going to give me an outside perspective, where I'm not just dealing with the constant pressure from my family and if they're using and what they have going on. So I've definitely had to kind of step outside my own family, because that shit is stressful.
Yes. And a lot of times I keep referring to it this way. It's almost as if once you get sober or you start listening to God or moving differently, it's almost as if you can't go back to a lot of your family. What's that phrase? You can't heal where you got hurt.
Yeah.
Or don't heal and go back to what hurt you. Like a lot of times, that's family. We can all attest to family situations that kind of put us in a shaky place with our DOCs. So it's really hard. And I have the hardest time with it personally, because it's like, man, but if I don't go see my family, like I have nobody, A lot of times it's just me and my cats.
Yeah.
And then my little sister, because she's very supportive.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that, because outside of my children, of course, my family core made up of my mother and my sister. The three of us have always stayed connected. My sister lived out of state, but me and my mom have always been extremely close, and I love her, and I know she loves me, but I think we had some form of trauma bond. She relied on me, I relied on her. I had to be there for her. I couldn't leave her, and same to a degree with her, but that also played the part in the BS that was in our life, the negativity, the drama, the trauma. Like we went through it together, and over my lifetime, it just built up. And coming up to rehab, I know the last few years, like with the abusive relationship I was in and everything. I mean, my mother and my sister were definitely there for me, and I owe them the world in so many different ways. My sister helped financially in so many different ways. My mother helped with my children in many, many ways. But I don't think I received like the emotional thing that I needed from them. My sister's not drama, so it wasn't that. But my mom, I don't think she could understand, like, I can't deal with that, you know? And then so going into rehab, my sister actually paid my deductible so I could go. They definitely wanted me to get the help, and they knew I needed it. They could see I was hurting. But I don't think it like triggered it or anything from my mother, more so like, hey, maybe I should just back up a little bit. And it was like, since I left, I've just had to create these boundaries with her, because I know I go 0 to 100. I know she plays a major part in my childhood trauma. Not necessarily if she did it, but it was allowed. I didn't get the help I needed. I never got the answers, and I never even got the emotional support so much where it was about me, like, let me help you. It was like, you know, oh my God, my daughter. And it's like, she don't know what she don't know. But as I got older, it was just like all these things I went through was almost reflecting on it, like, damn, Mom, like, why did you let this happen? Why didn't you do something? Why aren't you like giving me that emotional support I need instead of all this type stuff? So these past 8 months, I've had to like create boundaries with her. She's had to learn to hear me say no.
Yes.
Like, I'm a grown woman now, I'm 35. Like, you need to understand my life and your life do not intertwine on a daily basis. I can see you, I can talk to you, but we don't make decisions anymore together. You know, I'm not including you in every single thing, not because I don't love you, it's because it's time for me to leave the nest. It's time for you to let me go.
Fly.
To an extent. Yes, because it's holding me back, and then I'm not getting the answers I need from my childhood or that support or whatever it is I'm seeking inside, because I'm still trying to figure that out. I've had to just distance myself. And I kind of saw it as they're so used to me being so chaotic, up and down and all around, and I'm not saying I'm not now, right? I'm just not drinking doing it. But I feel like they were so used to me being that way. The fact that I'm not, they don't even know how to handle me like that. Or they're expecting me to drop the ball, or they may think I'm putting on a front, or I'm something that I'm not. And I think that's hindered me as well to even come out of my shell and be able to even be here doing this right now.
Yes. Preach. So with that said, this is not a podcast where we require that you do a 12-step program or anything like that. But for people that find comfort in it or are curious about it, we would like to ask the ladies about their experiences with groups and such, because as far as support and community go, which are very crucial in attaining and maintaining your sobriety, groups sometimes help. So can either of you touch on groups, kind of sell it a little bit, and let these people know if they want it, what it entails?
I mean, I can use my own personal resources. It's an online group. The Alpharetta group has a 24-hour, like you can get on Zoom multiple times a day and you can contact somebody, and they saved my life. Like, I don't know where they came from, but somebody heard that I was in recovery, sent me a message and asked me if I wanted to come to a meeting. Went to a meeting, they changed my life, and it's the Alpharetta group. Troy, he's okay with it. He's got a syndicated podcast. Troy Abrams, wonderful man. He completely saved my life. And there's so many men and so many people in that room with long-term sobriety, and they're in recovery, like recovery coaches, all kinds of stuff, patient care technicians. It's a really strong group. And also Mount Sinai, of course, and then Black Bear are some really good resources. And there's just so many meetings online now since COVID happened that it's really kind of changed the game, and there's no reason not to do meetings anymore.
So let me just ask 2 questions. Online meetings, number 1, of course, you don't have to be there. So you can do it with no pants on like y'all was working from home.
Yep.
Number two, they don't
Turn your camera off. It doesn't matter.
I know that's right. Number two, do they require any sort of insurance or anything?
No.
No. So you have no excuse. If you're curious, just show up. We're going to put it down there, alpharetta. We're going to figure out exactly everything, and we're going to get it done.
Somebody in there will help.
I know
It
that's
will
right.
help.
What? And you said Troy.
Troy Abrams.
Troy Abrams, we looking for you in the daytime with a light.
He's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. You just saved somebody. You just saved somebody. We heal out loud so you don't have to suffer in silence. People are dying.
Literally.
Yeah.
Vicky?
So serious.
Sorry about that.
Yes, so I could reference, I was completely new to the game. Mount Sinai was my first rehab. Well, besides being one back home where I was like, if this is what it is, I'm not having it. Mount Sinai was definitely, I'm glad I, of all places, I was able to be there. But outside of Mount Sinai, it was like the unknown. I wasn't even know what I was really getting myself into when I was there, and I was talking to, what do they call them, that help you find places?
Liaison. No?
No, like the ones that we met with besides like a counselor, or was it the counselor?
Those are liaisons.
Oh, a social worker.
Like a social worker type.
Oh.
They were almost in a sense of not listening to, which is why I went out on my own to find a sober living. But the sober living, like I said, had structure. From there, they introduced me to a place here in Sandy Springs, 8111. And I was hitting meetings. I say meetings every day, once a day. And they have them at different times of the day. So there's no excuses, whether you work or if you in the mornings or the night. There's morning classes, afternoon, evening. So it'll work with you. But it's just going into being in those meetings. It's hearing people's stories. It's like it's intriguing, and it just gives you hope. There's people that are still where I was, before I even checked into Mount Sinai, needing that extra help and having all the support there where nobody judges you and you can be open and not be looked upon. It's great. It's a good feeling, and so I do plan on getting back into meetings. Everything's been so hectic just because of my transition, bringing myself out here from Arizona. But I do plan on going to meetings. 8111 was definitely helped, and I will definitely recommend it, and it's free, like I said. So
You have no excuse. Stop giving yourself excuses. You're not helping anybody.
Yeah, it's absolutely no excuse. So when it comes to meetings, I definitely can recommend going to AA or any of those 12-step meetings if that is what is needed. And I honestly think in the beginning stages of sobriety, you need that. You do, because it comes down to the community. Like, it took me a while to walk into an AA room. And the first time I did was March 4th, 2017. I've been attempting to get sober for 5 years, before I went to Mount Sinai. I walked into an AA meeting scared, shaking, like, oh my God, what am I admitting to this room of people? Like, I have a problem. I don't have a problem. I can maintain my life. But I walked in and I just listened. And one thing about that group, in any of those 12-step, everyone in that room can relate to you, because we are, whether it's 1 day, 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, you can learn from somebody. You can have relations with somebody, relate to them, and it may just trigger a thought or an emotion to make you want to come back again. And again and again, and that's kind of what keeps you sober. They say do 90 meetings in 90 days, and I did that before. And honestly, I don't have a reference for a Georgia AA meeting, but for those in Las Vegas, the Serenity Club, Vegas AA meetings are 24/7 because nothing closes out there, even AA. So the Serenity Club on Arville and Flamingo, you go there and you're going to be able to get the help you need. It is a phenomenal group, and they have NA, AA, and it literally goes from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day of the week. And that place saved me back in 2017 for months, and it allowed me to kind of walk in that journey of understanding, like, you know what, maybe I do got a problem. Even if I wasn't even ready to fully address it until years later, it definitely helped me along in my journey. So like Dom was saying, like, there's absolutely no excuse, especially with the Zoom meetings now. You can be home, you can hop on a podcast, watch a podcast, whatever have you. Like, you don't have to sit there in agony thinking that you are by yourself, because you're not.
Yes. And you don't have to wait You don't have to wait until things are perfect. If you wait, perfectly imperfect. If you
Hello.
wait until things are perfect, you'll never do it because perfect doesn't exist. But if you have that feeling in your gut, that little inkling that you need to go forward, go. Take the first step. Even if you double back, it's okay.
Yeah, and another thing is that those family and friends, usually those people, somebody, or if not all of them, are going to tell you don't have a problem, because it's like crabs in a barrel. When you're trying to climb out, they're going to try to pull you right back down and expect you to stay there, because misery loves company. And if you say you want to get better and they're not ready to get better, they're going to call you out. They're going to make you feel some type of way and probably think, oh, you bougie. Oh, you don't need to do this anymore. You need to listen to yourself. I remember this one time in particular, I went to a CR, which is Celebrate Recovery. That's another one you guys can go to anywhere in the country. There are plenty of them there. I went to that first time in 2015, a couple years before AA, but it was at a church. And I remember standing in a garage at a friend's house prior to going to that on a Friday, drinking, of course. I had stilettos, shorts, little tank top. I thought I was looking cute, all these things. I'm telling my friends, hey, I'm gonna go to this meeting. And I'm telling them why, and they're like, you ain't no alcoholic, like you don't need help, as I'm drinking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm like, no, I really do, throwing it back. And they're like, oh, you're tripping. Like, look, you got the house, you got the career, you got your kids, you look good. Like, you're good, Michelle, like you're good. And I'm like, no, not really. I still took myself there, drunk, okay? I walked in my stilettos at this church to go to the Celebrate Recovery, wobbling all over the place. I spilled my coffee everywhere, and I was like, yo, someone gonna come clean this mess up? Like, I didn't know who I thought I was. God was on my side, and thank you for not striking me down, because I was being ignorant. But the point is that through all of that, I listened to myself. I knew I needed help, even if I wasn't even ready to change. I needed to hear something. I needed to know something outside of what I already knew and what I was already living. And it's been a journey, because that was literally, 8 years ago. And this is the longest sobriety run I've ever had, which it will be 9 months in 2 weeks as well. So it's like, you just have to listen to that voice inside of you, that it's like the angel, it's God or your higher power telling you, because if you listen to it, it may just change your life. You have to take that leap of faith. I mean, we all met in rehab, okay? And Dom and I, we didn't know each other prior to this at all whatsoever. We damn sure didn't know we would be right here. But because we took that leap of faith, believed in what we needed, we walked out of that, and now we're here being able to shed light to everybody else and show you guys, hey, sobriety is real, recovery can happen, and you can do and make something out of it, and it's about paying it forward.
And on that note, you've got plenty of resources to do what you may need to do, but only you know that. Now, if you don't feel like you need to do it, tune in next week. We'll give you more reasons why you should. See you guys next week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and come back, okay? You see all these beautiful men? Who would have known all the baddest females are in rehab? Hello. We thank you guys so much for joining us. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell so you can know when we post again. And that is our last drop. Oh, wait, no, it's not. Who wants to do the last drop? What are we leaving with today? Y'all got something y'all want to?
You got a piece of advice or something you want to leave everyone with?
It's called the last drop.
Yeah, this is our segment. We give that last drop of advice.
Don't give up, because, everybody, you could be the person that you least expected. How you kind of said, everybody thought, I did. I had my whole life together, and I had, everything. I had the life that everybody would dream of. No complaints at all. But like I said, I somehow ended up in my addiction, and it happens to the best of us. So just never give up. And like they say in the meetings, you'll hear it if you end up going, but one day at a time. Just keep coming back.
Keep
on coming back.
keep on coming back to this podcast. Amelia?
Literally.
Do things you're uncomfortable with. You don't grow inside, so you can grow. You don't grow unless you get really uncomfortable, and you can change and you can learn things. And just something I kept hearing was to do things you're uncomfortable with, even down to coming down here and doing a podcast with you guys. That's something that would make a lot of people uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable, but I'm here, and I'm glad that I came.
We're glad to have you.
What they say, the thing you're most scared of is probably what you should be doing.
Yeah.
It really is going to take you to the next level. You got to get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You just help somebody.
Yes.
You just help
I'll
somebody.
just help somebody.
Thank you guys for being here. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
bringing us
tuning
out.
in, and come back next week.